In the headlines, government and IMF team at discussion table on financial assistance to Ghana's struggling economy. $10 million tourism SME grant comes on stream as part of the effort to make tourism revenue key in boosting Ghana's economy. And gunmen attack convoy of Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari's team in his home state. Good evening, it's 19 hours GMT and it's time for News Hour. You're live on GTV, GBC News and DSTV on channel 278. My name is Clara Nano. Don't forget you're also streaming live via Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I am Rahmatu Mahmoud Jawando. We have Robert Frimpong Manso to translate the news into sign language. Good evening. The details now. The efforts to make the tourism sector a key driver of Ghana's economic development and prosperity is on track, starting today, July 6, 2022. This comes on the heels of the unveiling of the $10 million tourism SME grant under the Ghana Tourism Development Project by President Akufo-Addo in Accra.
It is in this direction that the government, through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, is in this year supporting SMEs in the tourism, hospitality and creative arts sector with a grant of $10 million United States dollars to enhance and expand their businesses. The grants will assist operators in the sector modernize and improve tourist sites, restaurants, tour operations, event organization, and related businesses to become attractive and competitive. The grants are in three categories, namely COVID relief support, SME support, and site upgrade. These are intended to help transform the tourism.
The Ghana Tourism Development Project received financing of $40 million from the World Bank in 2018 to improve the performance of tourism in targeted destinations. The project is expected to step up the tourism sector's offerings, diversify its impact, and help increase the contribution of the tourism sector to the Ghanaian economy. This year, $10 million have been set aside for disbursement, and the sensitization program has already begun across the country to enable operators to know how to access the grant. The project coordinator of the Ghana Tourism Development Project, Nana Osafo Kantanka, said government's investment in the tourism sector is a milestone in the annals of the country.
This year, we will continue with the Cape Coast and Elmina castles, as well as the Shai, Mole, and Kakum National Parks. Mr. President, we are happy to announce that all processes have been completed in the selection of a contractor for the renovation and rehabilitation works of the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, only awaiting your green light for the sword-cutting ceremony.
World Bank Country Director Mr. Jean-Pierre Laporte said the investment in the tourism sector attests to the bank's confidence in the Ghanaian economy.
The Tourism Development Project was restructured in June this year to make room, as has been said already, for another round of SME grants to the tune of $10 million US. And it is the expectation of the bank that some significant public tourist sites will be developed to complement the almost $20 million in private sector injection that's taken place over the last 2 years.
And to President Akufo-Addo, the goal to make the tourism sector the driver of foreign exchange earnings and employment of the youth is on course. He said a $10 million grant will not only upgrade infrastructure at tourist sites, but also create jobs for about 1,000 people with special focus on women-led SMEs in the tourism value chain. He called on SME operators in the country to adhere to good corporate governance.
The grants will assist operators in the sector modernize and improve tourist sites, restaurants, tour operations, event organization, and related businesses to become attractive and competitive. It is expected that 1,500 SMEs will benefit from the grant support.
The third phase of the tourism grant will be disbursed under 3 levels: COVID relief funds to help firms get up and running, grant for small and medium-sized businesses, and site upgrade grants to help businesses and tourism sites update their infrastructure. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
Metro Mass Transit has received 45 new buses to augment its fleets to provide safe, reliable and affordable transport service to the public. Handing over the buses to the Metro Mass Transport Management in Accra, President Akufo-Addo said 55 more buses are expected in the country by the end of the year.
Metro Mass Transit started running 13 years ago with 413 buses, but the company is struggling to keep up with expectation, with many of its fleets either broken down or in a very bad state. This has affected the Metro Mass Transit's ability to provide reasonable but safe transportation for the public. Mindful of this, the governor, President Akufo-Addo, has rolled out a plan to revamp Metro Mass Transit in order to ease the pressure on commuters across the country, especially at a time that the world is witnessing hikes in fuel and food prices. The managing director of Metro Mass Transit, Mr. Albert Edubuain, said the latest investment by the government will help improve the company's balance sheet.
Currently, we operate an average of 125, and coupled with our low fares and ability to generate revenue is greatly hampered. One major impact on our operations has been the high staff-to-bus ratio, which currently stands at 16:1 as against industrial standard of 6:1. Therefore, the need to urgently acquire more buses to augment the existing fleet is of paramount importance to the sustainability of MMTL. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the arrival of these buses is most opportune and marks a new dawn in the life of this company. This is a major game changer and will go a long way to ensure that commuters have access to affordable and efficient public bus services.
The Minister for Transport, Mr. Kweku Fure-Siama, was grateful to the government of Belgium for the €25 million facility to revamp the company and pledged to ensure that a proper maintenance culture is adhered to.
Our gathering here today is yet another manifestation of the President's promise to completely revamp the Metro Mass Transit Limited as part of his vision to develop a more comprehensive public mass transport system, to provide effective transport system for the rapid growth and development of our country.
President Akufo-Addo said apart from the 100 buses expected in the country by the end of 2022 to improve Metro Mass Transit services, 40 additional buses will be imported each year for the next 5 years.
This event is significant, particularly because it has provided us with an opportunity to boost further the capacity of our public transportation system. Ladies and gentlemen, the presence of an efficient transportation system is a vital contributor to the growth of the economy. And as President of the Republic, I've made it a priority to relaunch the Metro Mass Transport system in the regional capitals through sustained investments in infrastructure and services. The commissioning of these buses will improve the operations of MML and also offer passengers improved services.
The 100 buses, spare parts and technical assistance were procured at €25 million from the Belgian government. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
Over the next 5 days, government will be engaging officials of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to pitch ideas aimed at seeking help for Ghana's struggling economy. The Information Minister, Mr. Kwadwo Oppong Nkrumah, says deliberations with the IMF team could last for 6 months, and the length of the IMF bailout could be between 3 to 4 years.
The Information Minister, Mr. Kwadwo Oppong Nkrumah, cited the current global economic crisis that has hit many economies around the world as reasons for the bailout. He said the government will negotiate and opt for the best program, mindful of the conditions attached to the program and what best will cushion the current economic struggles of the country. Mr. Opong Nkrumah said Ghana's economic track record over the past years is being monitored, and based on the available data, the IMF will validate and negotiate with government to determine the possible program best for the country. This, he says, could either be a standby credit facility or an extended credit facility with a possible timeline of 1 to 4 years.
The Minority Caucus in Parliament says government should take full responsibility for the factors that led the country into seeking refuge from the IMF. They also suggest that government needs an overhauling in the country's economy.
They should also take responsibility for their reckless and irresponsible borrowing and unjustified profligate expenditure, which has led us to the journey of retreat, and focus on expenditure reduction, particularly focusing on social intervention whilst they reduce their opulent expenditure. What is of greater concern to the NDC minority is that they arrogantly rejected every reasonable and constructive suggestion from us and from other respected economists and Ghanaians on working together to improve the economy. What they must learn to live with is that once the Ghanaian people voted for a hung parliament, it meant that the days of impositions are over.
We in the minority will never and can never accept a blame that suggests that we deliberately rejected government policy. We rejected government policy for the people of Ghana because our constituents do not believe in that policy. We told them that they should come to the table for us to design a bipartisan policy to replace it. They never listened to us. So I can only say, we saw this car going to have an accident. Today, Ghana's economy has had an accident that will take a long time for us to repair. The economy needs bodyworks, big-time bodyworks, probably overhauling of the engine, and it should start from the economic management team.
The family of Victor Wusu, a young man of Nkranza, has rejected a police autopsy report indicating the cause of their son's death. The report says the young man died of severe head injury and an underlying brain tumor. Victor Wusu was allegedly shot and killed by the police on May 8, 2022, during a protest by the youth of Nkranza over the death of Albert Donko, who they claim was killed by the police.
On May 18, 2022, the youth of Nkranza, who were unhappy about the suspected killing of Albert Donko by the police, were on the streets in their numbers to protest. They blocked major roads and burned ties to register their displeasure about the death of the 27-year-old businessman. According to them, Albert Donko died under mysterious circumstances in police custody. The police had earlier said that Mr. Donko was a robbery suspect, but the locals believed the young businessman was targeted and killed by the police because he witnessed a robbery incident involving a police officer on the Nkranza-Kintampo road. According to a police autopsy report, Victor Wusu died of severe head injury and an underlying brain tumor. The brother of Victor Kojo Wusu, Mr. Isaac Apiakubi, says the family will not buy that.
Doctor na obaye no ma yenti ase say ohun bibi e kire se tuo ena eku abofra no bra na bigina ho eno achi o papa ya mu no be started free anybody oni be wie no me person mani anje ho because of say minim se tuo no ka abofra ni ti nanso ono de o papa ife ni yem eyi ni yem ni magina ansa na oba ni tiri so.
Albert Donko's uncle, Mr. Augustine Dunyina, alleged that when the police gave him access to view Albert Donko's body at the police hospital morgue in Accra, he saw strange marks on the neck and body indicating that he was tortured and hanged to death.
Body na mi ko hu ya no. Mi hu say boys for hanging about Azana, Yekuno, was me who mark one come. And what is to me who said body no, the electric shock, with your crown, body now black. Baby, I yet say, and she will be a bubble funyano. The body no the Marco police hospital, I will say about body.
In a communique read to the media on behalf of the Nkranza Local Council of Churches, the chairman of the Nkranza Pentecostal Charismatic Churches, Reverend Andrew Oseitichi, called for an independent commission of inquiry into the matter.
We are pleading with the general public, especially the youth, that no demonstrations or whatsoever should be organized for now, so that this volatile situation will not be exacerbated by these acts.
All the victims who were on admission at the St. Theresa's Hospital in Nkranza have been treated and discharged. Those who were arrested during the clash between the police and the youth have also been granted bail and are expected to appear before court on July 25, 2022. The residents appealed to the IGP to, as a matter of urgency, transfer permanent police personnel to the area.
The Minister for the Interior, Mr. Ambrose Derry, says so far compensations have been paid to the families of the 2 deceased persons involved in the Ijura shootings. He, however, said compensations and medical bills of the injured will be paid when all administrative processes are complete. The Interior Minister was in Parliament to answer questions on the Ijura issue.
A follow-up on my ministry's letter to the Minister of Health revealed that the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice had also requested the Ministry of Health to set up a medical board to assess current medical conditions of the 3 other injured persons and to state any permanent disability as a consequence of the shooting incident. Mr. Speaker, I am informed that the Attorney General and the Ministry of Justice has received a medical report from Konfanoche Teaching Hospital on the injured persons to determine the parameters due the victims. Notwithstanding, the Office of the Attorney General has requested victims to provide them with all medical receipts on which they are awaiting response. Mr. Speaker, the 3 victims will be compensated when all administrative processes are completed. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, permit me to inform the House that families of the 2 deceased persons have been compensated.
More than a year to gather the relevant documents. When will the minister assure this House that these putting documents and whatever that is needed to enable them to pay compensation will be done and compensation paid?
The delay in the meantime is regrettable, and I will assure you that as soon as we get it, we would pay.
The National Identification Authority says its attention has been drawn to a video in circulation on social media about some Ghana cards allegedly left to rot at its office in Sultum, Accra. It says the cards with 2D barcode were printed between 2008 and 2014, but were never issued to Ghanaians and have been kept in stores and basement of the NIA headquarters building in Accra. Earlier, in an interview with GBC News, the head of Corporate Affairs, NIA, Dr. Abdul Ganiyu, said the cards have been audited by an NIA Board of Survey and passed for destruction as they have outlived their 10-year lifespan and not fit for any purpose.
Cards that were printed since 2008, some of them were printed after 2008, but all of that within the period 2008 to 2014. And I'm sure Ghanaians are familiar with the registration for the Ghana card that took place around that period. And the cards that were printed at the time were 2D barcode cards. That is completely different from the type of cards that are being printed today. And for cards that were printed in 2008, by 2018, they would have expired, they would have outlived their lifespan, and that meant that these cards are no more useful. And on the basis of that, a board of survey conducted their audits, and they have declared them no more effective, and rather they have to be shredded, they have to be discarded. We have a report to that effect, and from where we sit, we are putting the necessary plans in place to ensure that these cards are properly done away with. But we've also gone on to assure people that whatever data that we have in our custody in respect of the smart identity cards that we have been issuing, that data is secured, the data is safe, and all cards that we have printed waiting to be issued are properly boxed, they are badged and kept at the respective regional and district offices waiting to be issued.
At a meeting in Accra, civil society organizations reviewed the implementation of the Right to Information law in Ghana. Their discussion focused on strengthening the civic space in Ghana to ensure that citizens have better access to information in order to hold duty bearers to account for decisions on use of public resources appropriately. Recommendations would help promote on the right to access information.
Despite the passage of the Right to Information law in Ghana, administrative and bureaucratic bottlenecks, coupled with the imposition of fees by public institutions and a seeming lack of awareness among citizens of the law and their right to demand for information, are foremost challenges impeding access to public information and effective implementation of the law. As a result, under the Rebuilding Civic Space project, Star Ghana Foundation with other civil society organizations convened to weigh up the challenges associated with the passage of the RTI law and its effective implementation.
Public institutions are encouraged to practice proactive disclosure by publishing accurate and up-to-date information, even when information has not been requested. This will serve as an arsenal to check corruption and promote answerability to the public.
Presenting a document on assessing access to information in the context of the RTI law implementation, a resource fellow, Dr. Theodora Ajin-Tete, recommended that the RTI law must be included in the SHS and tertiary curriculum. Community radio jingles in local languages and continuous engagement of public institutions must be undertaken in implementing the law. During a panel discussion, experts averred that transparency and accountability must be the practice of every institution in Ghana.
Right to information is critical, it's fundamental to democratic governance. Without it, there's no way we can hold government accountable. Without it, there's no way we can monitor and be sure that we're making progress as a country. And without it, there's no way that the rights that the Constitution guarantees us would be realized.
The RTI Commission applauded the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation for its enormous support in the RTI law's implementation. For GBC News, Yaira Lawe reporting.
To encourage public participation and usage of the Rights to Information law, the RTI Commission engaged staff of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation on Wednesday. Topical issues discussed include efforts to ensure an effective RTI regime, how the law can engender Ghana's fight against corruption, as well as emerging trends and challenges. The forum also harvested key recommendations towards ensuring a more robust access to information regime in Ghana.
Both human beings and institutions are entitled to use this law to access information. But the law says a person. And a person also means that the person can be a Ghanaian, the person can be a foreigner. Normally, when we explain it this way, people have issues. Why should we allow foreigners to come to Ghana and be asking for information from our public institutions? And whenever I hear such concerns, my response is, and why not? Why not? Okay? GIPC has been going around trying to sell Ghana to the outside world, to attract investors, trying to sell Ghana as an investment-friendly destination. So assuming I am an American, and I would want to find out whether Ghana is indeed suitable for my investment, am I not entitled to apply to GIPC for information? Yes. So the law says a person. A person can be a Ghanaian, a person can be a foreigner. So what it means is that even foreigners can use this law to apply for information from public institutions.
I want to find out what do you consider as exempt, or what information is considered exempt?
In fact, the law has also exempted certain classes of information and persons from paying a fee. When you go under Section 75(2), I'll take you through some of them. Under Section 75(2) of the law, it says that despite Section 1, a fee or charge shall not be payable for A, the reproduction of personal information of the applicant. If an applicant makes an application for information regarding a case that is pending before court, okay, and it is realized that when such information being requested about the pending case is given out, it has the potential to undermine the fair trial of the case. It is exempt. It shouldn't be given out.
Some youth in the Upper East region have called on the government and stakeholders to include young people in decision-making at all levels to help address challenges confronting their growth and development. The youth expressed these concerns in Bolgatanga after a stakeholders' engagement by NOSAC, an advocacy organization, as part of their implementation of the Power to Youth project. Peter Agrenger has more.
The 5-year project being implemented in consortium with Youth Advocates Ghana, GH Alliance and Songtaba seeks to empower young people to help address challenges such as unintended teenage pregnancies, harmful practices and sexual and gender-based violence. A communique issued at the end of the engagement, spokesperson for the youth, Dorcas Zoga, noted that young people, particularly those in the rural communities, continued to face challenges, including dehumanizing cultural practices such as widowhood rights, street hawking, rape, defilement and forced marriages, among others, leading to unintended pregnancies and school dropouts.
These youngsters who should be in school, but because of these acts are forced to drop out, made to live with life-threatening complications and become mothers too early.
The youth demanded that apart from being included in family and community decision-making, they should have a fair representation at the assembly and regional levels.
Young people should be included in the community's decision-making body. Young people should have a representation at the assembly and at regional level.
The Girls and Female Empowerment Manager of NOSAC, Ms. Nancy Yeri, said the project was being implemented in 40 communities in 10 districts in the 5 regions of the North to build collaborations among all stakeholders towards ending unintended pregnancies, sexual and gender-based violence and harmful practices. The engagement brought together chiefs, teachers, SHRAJ and others.
The New Patriotic Party has scheduled to hold its National Annual Delegates Conference at the Accra Sports Stadium from the 15th to 17th July 2022. 47 aspirants are vying for Women's Organizer, Youth Organizer, Nasara Coordinator, Organizer, Treasurer, Vice Chairperson, General Secretary and Chairperson's position for the upcoming Delegates Conference. At a news conference in Accra, the National Elections Committee, chaired by Mr. Peter McMenu, advised all aspirants and their supporters not to engage in campaign of insult, but conduct their campaign with civility and decorum.
3 prospective aspirants for the positions of National Organizer, National Women's Organizer, and National Youth Organizer, that is Dr. Kwame Afriye, Kosua Sewa Bonsu, and Tumfuo Klinsman Kakari Mensah, respectively, resigned their decisions to contest. Honorable Ayikwe Otu, who was vying for the position of National Chairman of the party, has however since withdrawn from the race. In the case of proxy voting, all external branch delegates who are entitled to vote but are unable to travel to Ghana for so doing may vote through proxy. All persons receiving proxies must first and foremost be a delegate already entitled to vote in the elections. All aspirants and all their agents are therefore warned not to engage in any untoward behavior that can be interpreted as bribery or treating within the meaning of the Representative for People's Law 1992 PNDC Law 284, which are serious criminal offenses. The National Election Committee has therefore engaged the Ghana Police Service, who will be on the election grounds to strictly enforce the laws and arrest anyone found to be in the breach of PNDC Law 284.
The Ministry of the Interior is informing the public that Saturday, July 9, 2022 marks Eid al-Adha and has been declared a statutory public holiday. However, July 9, 2022 falls on a Saturday, and therefore President Akufo-Addo has, by an executive instrument and in accordance with Section 2 of the Public Holidays and Commemorative Days Act 2001, declared Monday, July 11, 2022 as a public holiday, which should be observed as such throughout the country. You're watching News Hour live on GTV and GBC News. We are back shortly.
People we would love to share these moments with. Well, that power can be in your hands. Life is now. Sign up to our credit card and enjoy up to 45 days interest-free credit so you can ease your cash flow for other investments. Join the Visa Exclusive Club with a priority pass to over 1,200 airport lounges, a collection of luxury hotels and global concierge services, 24/7 customer service, multi-trip insurance and emergency top-ups. Track your expenses and payments easily. Use on over 24 million ATMs worldwide with rewards and discounts at selected merchants and cashback for every purchase you make. All with the flexibility of blocking and unblocking your card.
There's Republic Visa Classic, Adishi, Business and Infinite Credit Cards. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Let us tell you the truth, it's not the magic that makes your dream come true. It makes you achieve, but it's your hard work.
Also in business, the 4th Research and Innovation Challenge for university students in the field of packaging has been held in Accra. The competition, which had students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology emerging winners, is designed to integrate academia into the world of work seamlessly.
National Export Development Strategy, NET, envisages that in the next 10 years, non-traditional exports NTEs will grow from $2.8 billion in 2020 to $25.3 billion in 2029. One area that can contribute to Ghana attaining this feat is through the improvement of packaging methods and materials. The 4th edition of the annual Students' Research and Innovation Challenge for tertiary institutions was to, among other issues, address packaging in Ghana. Participating students were from Academic City College, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Ashesi University, and University of Ghana. This 4th edition took an international turn with the main facilitators of the annual program, Institute of Packaging Ghana, partnering the World Packaging Organization to ensure that the research topics from the 4 universities would be entered into the 2022 WPO World Star Students Competition. Competitors from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, were adjudged the winners of the 2022 Research and Innovation Challenge.
Solution providers to the problems of our country, Ghana. There is a lot we are doing in Ghana, but a lot needs to be done as well. That is why we participated in this challenge.
An executive member of the Institute of Packaging Ghana, Mr. Kofi Esuman, said competition is an annual one to ensure that students become well placed in the field of work after academia.
Packaging in general. And we came up with 4 problems that face Ghana. For example, we now have the African Continental Free Trade Area, and we see packaging as an obstacle. Therefore, we came up with a request that students should come up with an idea of how we can use packaging as a competitive tool to enter into the African market. The students have all emerged winners and have come up with great ideas.
The president of the Institute of Packaging, Mr. Thomas Abedu, congratulated all 4 universities for their great efforts in coming up with such brilliant innovations within a short period and gave assurance the institute will take up the mantle to guide them in ensuring their ideas are utilized to make industries in Ghana better.
That was business brought to you by MTN. The energy news is after this break. Stay with us.
Means seeing the possibilities and maximizing opportunities.
Hello, good evening. Your Life on News Hour with Mabel Anang. Let's do some energy stories. Ghana Gas Company says it is working with other stakeholders to ensure prompt payments to all players within the energy supply chain to help boost operations. Chief Executive of Ghana Gas, Dr. Ben Asante, said the delay in payment affects operations. Dr. Asante said the situation has not been the best, but the company is working to turn around fortunes and make it better.
A lack of payments to IPPs, or delay in payments, I think, yes, it's not the ideal thing, but I think we are working towards trying to make sure that we are responsive to the needs of IPPs. Look, not just the IPPs, but all those who contribute to the provision of fuel, for instance, whether it's GNPC, whether it's Ghana Gas, along the entire chain of power provision. Because if you don't, they run the risk of having some operational hiccups. And if there's really no liquidity in the system to make sure that we get the requisite infrastructure and parts to provide reliable and sustainable service, then we are cutting our noses to spite our face. So it's not the best, but I think it's not been bad either, particularly with the introduction of the cash waterfall mechanism.
Now, energy analyst Dr. Isiu Sulemana says Africa stands to benefit immensely if efforts at exporting natural gas to Europe become successful. In an interview with GBC News, he said issues such as flaring of gas and lack of big off-takers will no longer be a challenge in Africa's upstream petroleum sector if the deal goes through.
Economic benefits. To the extent that the returns to the continent will be phenomenal. And if you look at most of our reservoirs in Ghana per se, somewhere 2019, Talo complained that they could not reach their production target. The reason being that they did not have the off-taker, or they couldn't displace the gas that was supposed to be displaced, to optimize the oil production. Because most of the wells are associated with gas. They come as associated. What I mean by associated, I mean a well oil mixed with gas. And if you don't displace the gas, you're not going to have access to the oil. And so usually an infrastructure had to be put in place. In Ghana per se, we should have thought of even a gas plant, before even thinking about oil production. Because in the quest of getting the oil, you are flaring the gas, which is environmental catastrophic, and you are losing a lot of revenue. Because with gas, it can champion your power, it can help you to become power sufficient. It can build your petrochemical industry. And then the returns are enormous.
Residents of Apremdo in the western region have discovered an unknown black sticky substance beneath the soil substance to be crude oil. The traditional leader in the area, Nana Ejakwamna, said the community is in touch with key stakeholders to investigate and ascertain whether the substance is crude oil or something else. In an interview with journalists, Nana Ejakwamna explained that since the community could not readily confirm what the substance actually is, experts have been invited to examine it. He said a sample will be taken to the Tema Oil Refinery for laboratory test. The chief and his elders are hoping the substance will turn out to be a meaningful hydrocarbon resource. Mineral. This is how we wrap up on the energy segment with me, Mabel Anang.
The Medical and Dental Council has begun streamlining the specialization of medics and dentists after 20 years since it was proposed. It has introduced a policy which defines the scope of practice for the medics and dentists to ensure public safety. These practitioners would also need to have their names captured in the specialist register by the regulator, acquired a stamp to authenticate the prescriptions they give, and have name tags on appropriate apparels when on duty.
Many attribute the death of patients to wrong diagnosis and treatment. This is also due to the increasing number of fake and unqualified doctors at most remote or hard-to-reach areas. However, others believe some physicians and physician assistants often practice beyond their scope of competence.
You'll be surprised to hear of what young practitioners without much experience in their belt, how they rush around to go and do cesarean sections and other surgeries. You'll be surprised to know somebody who has been trained as an eye surgeon and so on and decides that for some reason or the other, we will start playing with prostates.
The specialized register being introduced by the Medical and Dental Council will be a comprehensive document that protects public health from irreversible and life-threatening health situations, often caused by these medics. The chairman of the council, Professor Paul Nyame, said the initiative would delineate who qualifies to be a specialist, issue stamps for prescription, name tag, and appropriate apparel to wear on duty. The inclusion of foreign-trained doctors and dentists will depend on whether the training institutions are accredited in the area of jurisdiction and also whether such health professionals excel in the local council licensure examinations. The Deputy Minister for Health, Mr. Mahama Seiseni, launched the document. In an interview, the Special Advisor to the President on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, said for the primary referral system in the country to be effective, doctors would need to receive the requisite training. The Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Divine Bayumbala, warned that medics who fail to adhere to this policy would also cease to be recognized by the regulator.
That's all in the segment brought to you by kind courtesy, Lufat.